Hello, this is Joan McCarter for Daily Coast Radio, and Daily Coast TV. Joining us today from Netroots Nation, San Jose, 2013, is a great progressive senator, Jeff Merkley from Oregon. Welcome, Senator.
Thank you. It's great to be with you.
You've spent 5 years in the Senate, so you've had a pretty good view of how it works and how it doesn't work. And one of your major pushes the last few years has been filibuster reform. Can you tell us sort of where we're at now?
Yes, and the reason I got so involved in this is I first came to D.C. in 1976 as an intern for Senator Hatfield, and I was assigned to a bill that went to the floor, the Tax Reform Act of that year, and I saw a Senate that worked as you would expect.
Mm-hmm.
Amendment after amendment, no filibustering amendments, no objections to people introducing amendments. Whoever got called on first got their amendment up. The amendments were germane to the bill. They were debated. They were decided, and it was a simple majority Senate. Well, that has been the way it's been throughout our history. For example, Lyndon B. Johnson, in 6 years as majority leader, only one time in 6 years had to file a petition to try to close debate. The rest of the time it was done by courtesy. Everyone had their say. We close debate. We take a final vote. But now it's the opposite. There's always an objection to closing debate. Harry Reid had to file 391 petitions in the same 6-year period. And the result is we don't get to appropriation bills. We've done 1 out of 24 in the last 2 years. We haven't done any yet this year.
Mm-hmm.
We don't get legislation that's bipartisan legislation that comes out of committee, like the replacement for No Child Left Behind. We didn't get that to the floor of the Senate. We can't get a conference committee started on the budget. Even though for years Republicans are saying we want there to be a budget resolution every year. The Budget Control Act is not enough, and now we have a budget resolution, and they're blocking a conference with the House so that we can get common budget numbers. And then they're saying we're going to oppose the appropriation bills because we're not using the same numbers as the House, even though the reason we don't have the same numbers is because there hasn't been a budget conference to establish a common budget, because they won't let it happen. So this is dysfunction that is deeply damaging to the legislative process. And we also have the same obstacle in terms of nominations. Advise and consent in the Constitution was always envisioned as a simple majority. It's in the same paragraph where a supermajority is applied to advise and consent on treaties, not applied to nominations, and was rarely invoked on nominations until recent times. And so one supposedly co-equal branch is now undermining badly the other two co-equal branches. It's an effort to basically take away any momentum that the president may have for an agenda that the citizens voted on when they elected him. It's an effort to prevent him from nominating or getting judges confirmed. So it's a form of court packing, really, by blocking highly qualified nominees. It's unacceptable, and it's why we have to take the filibuster off of the nominating process.
What do you think the prospects are for that?
Well, I think they're reasonable, but it's not a done deal. We're going to have a lot of nominations coming up in July after immigration. Those will include 5 folks for the National Labor Relations Board. It'll be Richard Cordray for the head of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, Gina McCarthy for the head of the EPA, Tom Perez for head of labor. All these are backed up, including 3 nominees for the second most important court in the land, which is the D.C. Circuit Court, or D.C. Appeals Court. So if we have all those at one time and focus on them, one of several things could happen. One is that the Republicans block them and we do nothing. That is absolutely unacceptable. The second is they block them and we say, well, if you block them, we're going to change the rules. And they say, well, we won't block them. That would be a repeat of 2005. When the Republicans basically said that to the Democrats. Either you stop blocking them or we'll change the rules. And there was a deal. But the deal involved Democrats not filibustering. Or the Republicans say, no deal, and then we need to change the rules. And we need to change it on both executive branch nominees and on judiciary nominees.
Right, so that we don't have perhaps another gang appear, another agreement come up that would separate out executive nominees versus judicial.
Yes, or say, well, we'll give you 2 of the 5 on the National Labor Relations Board, and we'll give you Gina but not Tom Perez, or no, there has to be up and down votes on everything. That needs to be the principle. Up and down votes on everything in a timely basis. The president deserves that to get his administration into place, and he deserves that in terms of being able to fill these judicial emergencies. In other words, we don't get justice that is prompt and timely if we can't actually have the judges to hold the hearings.
There are judicial emergencies in something like 45?
About that,
yeah.
Yes. Yeah. But I think the president should be able to get somebody nominated and voted on for every vacancy in the land.
It's a good goal.
It is a very good goal.
How can Daily Coast community members help?
Well, I think the big help would be to have folks make sure that their legislators know that they care about this. Of course, this is mainly on the confirmation side. This is a Senate issue, and so letting their senators know that they feel strongly that the president should get an up and down vote on nominees on both sides of the equation. And here's the thing: there are some folks who say, "Well, I can see up and down votes on the executive branch because folks serve 2 to 4 years." But on judges who have lifetime appointments, we should have a higher standard, a 60-vote standard. Here's the problem with that. If we do this only on the executive branch, then the obstruction will double down on the judicial branch. And it means that court packing essentially will be more severe even than now. That's unacceptable. Furthermore, for folks who say, well, this will mean when we're in the minority, we'll be able to block terrible justices, they're simply wrong. And we know that from 2005 because it was on the court nominees in which the Republican leadership said either you let us vote up and down or we will change the rules. So we already know that they will do this. And the thing I would ask people to imagine is, can you imagine a majority leader, Mitch McConnell, proceeding to not change the rules to get nominees from a President Palin or a President Perry confirmed? And I think the answer is no. I mean, that is not going to happen. They will change the rules.
I think that that's been clear. I think that they've already promised that. McConnell's already essentially promised that. So this is going to be what we see happening in July.
In July, all these nominations are up, and so everyone should be deeply engaged over the next few weeks.